So we're going to start with presentations and proclamations tonight. We have the new hazmat vehicle presentation by Chief Daly.
Mayor Didball, members of the City Council, thank you for joining me tonight as I cover something that we've waited a long time for. I'm going to apologize up front. I'm getting over a cold. Just got back from vacation. I don't know if it was too much karaoke singing on the ship or what, but my voice is a little rough, so please bear with me. Wow. No, I really didn't sing, honest. So I'm here to talk to you tonight about our new hazardous materials rig that we got. But before I jump into that, I want to stress one thing that I think is pretty unique about our department and about our city, is the state of California provides emergency vehicle equipment throughout the state. It's pretty unique to be able to have one piece of apparatus that the state donates. And you can tell the state equipment from other vehicles is because the state goes with the color green or white. But currently, the California Office of Emergency Services, we actually have, I think we're pretty unique in our department. I know in Northern California, there's not a similar sized department to ours that has 3 actually pieces of equipment from the state of California. So we actually have a fire engine, which is on the left, which we respond to during times of wildland fire. We have an advanced technical rescue unit on the far right, which has specially trained personnel for an advanced technical rescue team that deals with building collapse, confined space, earthquake, that type stuff that we can respond that belongs to the state of California that they've given to us. And then now we've added our 3rd piece of equipment, which is the newest one, which is the one of 12 hazardous materials units in the state of California that are being delivered this month and next month. So I'm pretty proud to say our department, we have a lot of people that are specially trained in these areas, and it's pretty unique to see 3 pieces of equipment from the state of California in one department like ours. So I'm pretty excited about that. So let me go back a little bit so we understand why we have this piece of equipment. We have a team called WISHMERT. That's our acronym for it. It stands for Yuba City Hazardous Materials Response Team. And within that team was formed back in 2012, and it's just not Yuba City. We have membership from Beale Air Force Base, from Linda Fire Protection District, Marysville, Oliver, Sutter County, Yuba City Fire, and Yuba County Office of Emergency Services. So there's 6 agencies that comprise of this team that we formed. We found that's a lot easier if we work together instead of having all these separate hazmat teams. Instead of each department having their own hazmat team, we combined all these departments to form one large hazmat team. So the way it works is we came back to the council back in 2012, I believe, and asked for permission from the council to form this team through a memorandum of understanding, which you guys approved. And so really the hierarchy is the councils and the boards on those six departments all approved this memorandum of understanding back in 2012. Below that, we have an administrative group, which is 6 fire chiefs. So the 6 fire chiefs sit on the board. I represent, obviously, Yuba City, and we have an OES rep as well. And then below that, we have an operations group, which oversees the team. And then we have the team members themselves. And that's the kind of the hierarchy of the team. There's about 50 team members on the Yuba City Hazardous Materials Response Team. Some of the equipment that we have in the area is what we call now Hazmat 31, which is the one you saw in the parking lot tonight. That'll be housed in Yuba City. We have Rescue 8 out of Sutter County. We have Marysville Hazmat Unit. They also have one in Marysville. Linda has a decontamination trailer. Sutter County has a decontamination tent. And then Beale Air Force Base provides specialized equipment for us. The difference between a decontamination trailer and decontamination tent is decontamination trailer is used to decontaminate our own personnel. We actually have a decontamination tent, which is for a large incident where we have a mass casualty where we can decontaminate large numbers of walking wounded as well as large amount of non-walking wounded people in the tent. I'm going to talk specifically about the hazmat unit today because that's the one we received. There's one of 12 in California. We received one of them. There's 2 of them here in Northern California. The other one is in Susanville. That's hazmat 32. Between those 2 units, our jurisdiction that we primarily provide cover for is the 13 counties from Yuba and Sutter, basically north to the Oregon border. The value of the vehicle, the purchase of the vehicle from the state of California was about $500,000 plus or minus, just for the vehicle. To kind of give you an idea what the vehicle looks like, on the left is the passenger side, all the different types of compartments and equipment that's carried on it, as well as on the driver's side. You can see some of the equipment there as well. Here's some of the more specialized equipment. All those boxes on the right are just different types of monitoring equipment to monitor different types of hazardous materials. We use those tools to identify what the material is. The one on the left is the most expensive. It's called a spectroscopy, and it's an infrared elite type system. That alone is $75,000, and that alone you can literally point it with an infrared light, and it'll identify what the chemical is. It's pretty unique and pretty state-of-the-art equipment. The equipment on the rig is about $300,000. So when you look at the engine and the equipment, it's about an $800,000 investment the state's made. Some of the other features on the vehicle itself, we've got different types of toolboxes, different type of lighting, canopies. We actually have a weather station on there, so we can actually we can figure out our own weather conditions, local weather conditions, right there on the spot with the weather station that we have, as well as specialized tools, non-sparking tools, and things like that that we need for our team to operate safely. The interior cab is actually a testing lab. There's actually in the back part of the cab, there's places for us for reference documents, computers, printers, books, software, so we can look up different types of chemicals, as well as do some of our testing in a closed environment. If we have to physically take a piece of a sample of the hazardous materials and test it, we can test it right there in a controlled environment through our different testing processes that we use. As far as the training, this is not the typical, this type of unit is not used by all firefighters. It's only used by firefighters that have been specifically trained in hazardous materials. To kind of give you an idea, the training alone, just to be able to put on those funny suits and walk around, is about 6 weeks of training, 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day. So it's about 240 hours of initial training just to be able to put on those suits and to follow. So we meet all the Cal OSHA, Fed OSHA guidelines, and all of the NFPA requirement guidelines to be able to be a hazardous materials specialist. On top of that, we send some people to hazardous materials instant commander training. That's another 16 hours of training. And then we also send people to hazardous materials safety officer training, which is about another 3 days and another 24 hours of training. We're also required to do 24 hours of recertification training every year just to maintain our license. So we're literally licensed as hazardous materials specialists, and we have to maintain 24 hours of training every year to maintain that license to be Cal OSHA compliant. The cost of that training was grant funded. Just the cost to put on the training was about $200,000. So now if you're adding up the math, we're up to about $1 million the state has purchased so far to not only fund the vehicle and the equipment, but to provide the training. They also had to pay for us to be able to attend the training, so they had to pay for the overtime and backfill so that we could send our personnel to the training. That was about another $142,000 amongst the whole team, not just Yuba City, but the team as a whole. So we sent 17 firefighters from our team to this training, which was what was required by the state, to 17 members, as well as we were also able to send another 13 personnel throughout Northern California. They got the training for free because we could fit 30 people in the class, so we took advantage of getting other departments involved so they could get the training for free. So it worked out really well. So overall, the state invested in this particular unit to train the people, to purchase a unit, to equip the unit, to train the people, and to house it here in Yuba City. It's about a $1.2 to $1.3 million investment by the state just for this one unit. So what does the state expect in return, right? Because they're not going to just hand these things out and don't expect things in return, right? What they expect in return is when the need arises that they can call us and we'll send that unit with trained personnel. We'll send 5 personnel with that unit as a minimum. One of them will be hazmat IC certified. That's why we send them to the hazmat IC class, incident commander class, and 4 hazmat specialists. So they'll respond, those 5 people will respond with the unit to wherever we're required to go in the state of California. Obviously, our first primary area would be the region, this northern region, but obviously if they had an earthquake in Southern California or in the Bay Area where they had hazardous materials instances, I'm sure we'd respond there as well. The unique thing about this is the same mutual aid system that we use for when we send fire engines. So it's the same process. So what happens is there's no cost to the city or to this team when we respond. They cover our costs what we call portal to portal. In other words, from the second that we leave until the second we get back, along with admin fee and workers' comp fees and other things that we have on our contract, all of our costs are covered, so it's revenue neutral for the city, as well as other members and other departments on the team. So the overtime and backfill costs are covered at 100%. The other benefit we have is we don't have to go out and purchase a hazardous materials unit because now we have one here in our community. So the state's told us we can use it as much as we want. So it's free to use. So if we have local instances that are smaller that we need to respond to hazmat unit, but we don't need help from other jurisdictions, we can use it. The only thing they ask is if you use something disposable, you replace it. If you break something, you replace it. That's all they ask. And that's no different than what we were doing right now. Historically, we had an old crew bus that was what we were using for our hazmat rig. So we'll be able to get rid of that finally. So, and we had a lot of equipment on there, and that equipment will be shifting over to the new unit. So for us, there's really no additional costs. We're basically getting this new unit, and we just have to replace the equipment that's disposable that we use. We've also been very successful in our team as far as cost recovery. The last 2 large incidences that the team responded to, we were able to bill the responsible parties, and we were able to receive cost recovery of 100% on both of those instances. So we've had 2 major instances over the last few years where the whole team had to respond, and we were able to recoup our costs. Not only that, but Yuba County's done a really good job. Yuba County OES, they put $5,000 into our fund, and they help us manage all of our funding and cost recovery. That's how Yuba County OES has supported the team. They put $5,000 a year in there to help us towards training and other things that we may need for the team, which is kind of nice. So that's our new hazmat unit. Total state investment was about 1.2, 1.3 million. We were successful in getting one here. There's only 12 in the state, and we're happy to have it, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Yes, we are very lucky to have this. Any questions for Pete?
No questions, but some comments to the mayor. Chief, first, I think it's remarkable that we are able to get different pieces of equipment here through the Office of Emergency Services. And I think most of that is largely due to the successes that our fire department has had with OES at different command situations throughout the state of California. They know that Yuba City is reliable. They know that it's a department that is dedicated, and certainly your service, along with the service of our fire personnel, is recognized statewide, or they would not have given us, $1.2 million worth of equipment and support in a new piece of equipment. So I think that's remarkable. With that said, I really believe that the community needs to be aware of this, more aware of it as we move forward, and what those partnerships really look like. So I would really ask the fire department to do some open houses and some other things possibly to be able to promote this type of equipment and those relationships. Again, our governor has been notorious in saying, I'm going to give control back to the local communities, which meant I'm going to take your money away from you. But at the very same time, some of this type of equipment comes back. So I think it's remarkable. It's remarkable what you and the fire department have done to be able to get this type of equipment on board here in Yuba City. So thank you.
Thank you. And 2 things I forgot to mention. I apologize. One is we just found out also that the engine that we do have will be replaced within the next 12 months. We'll actually be getting a brand new Type 3 fire engine, the one that was on the first picture I showed you at the beginning. It's that time to replace it. So they've notified us. So we'll be getting a brand new engine within 12 months. Oh. That's what they told me. I'm going to hold them to it, but that's what they said. So we'll be getting a new engine. And then also, I just want to acknowledge Bill Fuller, who's here in the audience. He was a lot of behind-the-scenes work on really helping us get this engine and get it in place. So thank you, Bill. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Maybe you can do an outreach, like work with Katie. She's really good at that outreach stuff. I know. See, you can park it right at New Earth and do the cafe like you did the last one. That would be awesome. Thanks.